Hi,
Uh,
everyone. It's Laura Nalbandian, and I'm the coordinator for ISAR 2022. The dates for ISAR 2022 are August 25th through the 29th. It's going to be held in Westminster, Colorado, right between Denver and Boulder at the Westin Hotel. And it's going to be a great time, lovely weather, the Rocky Mountains. You couldn't ask for really pretty much more. We have 100 speakers, and today I'm with one of those speakers, Gary Christen. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule. Most astrologers are very busy these days, so I appreciate you taking the time.
my pleasure. So what can I answer for you?
Well, I'm curious about, we haven't in the United States for sure been together in any sizable numbers for a conference in 2 years. So are you excited to get back together with people, get back out there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I miss conferences. I miss talking to my peers. I feel that it's a direct connection with people in a relaxed area that we really learn. When we take a class, it's one thing, you crack the books, you learn something and this and that, and by rote, you do it. But when you're hanging out with someone, you pull up a fast example and somebody else jumps in the conversation and you have a real connection there. This is something that I've missed since the last UAC. So,
And for those who don't know enough about Gary, let me tell you a little bit about him. He's the owner of Astrolabe Software. He is the originator of symmetrical astrology. He has any number of, he's certified by NCGR, PAA, PMA, FA, CAP. He's got all those things. He's the first person in modern times awarded an accredited BA in astrology from Livingston College, Rutgers University, 1974. An international lecturer, professional astrologer, serving the nonprofit community since 1969. He was nominated for the 2018 Regulus Award, Discovery, Innovation, and Research. Gary co-founded Astrolabe with Rob Hand, published his Solar Fire, Celeste and Nova chart wheels, among others, and is currently writing An Approach to Astrology. So not only will you be speaking, but you'll have a vendor table there for Astrolabe software as well. Is that correct?
We'll be introducing Solar Fire 10 for the Mac and PC.
Oh my God, I'm so excited, Gary. I cannot tell you how many students bug me all the time. Where is the program for Mac? Where is the program? So this is going to be launched out of ISAR.
We're going to be this is our first. It will be our first public introduction. We should be going into advanced beta probably at the end of May.
Okay.
So we certainly will have things to show, right. And that part will be a lot of fun. So yes, in the vendor area, after many years, a cross-platform Solar Fire comes out, which should be fun.
Wait, okay, so you're going to be doing a single lecture because you'll be busy in the trade show for sure. You're going to do Friday, August 26th, and your lecture is called Symmetry and Dial Methodology. First of all, for us folk or for the folk out there who might not know what any of those words actually mean, can you help us here?
Okay, very simply is, as you know, I'm a proponent of a form called symmetrical astrology. Symmetrical astrology is an outgrowth of the Uranian system. Sometimes the Uranian system gets applause and sometimes we get the Bronx cheer. But what the Uranian system was the 20th century's attempt by Alfred Witte and C. Grun and a bunch of other folks was to go to the beginning of written form of astrology. In other words, all the way back to Dorotheus, all the way back to the earliest Hellenistic Greek material, and to synthesize what was essential out of it. Now, that's what was launched as the Hamburg Schule in the 30s. And then in the US, they called it Uranian astrology. And that was Uranian system of astrology because it was USA. But now it's been close to 80 years since Witte's work. And Witte's work really does hang together. We get people go because we use funny planets. But then again, those funny planets were really a discovery of the Kuiper belt 70 years before they actually observed the planets. The Witte planets fit perfectly in the boundaries of the Kuiper belt. But what Witte missed was the time before the Hellenistics and the time of other cultures like the Mayans, et cetera, which means that there's a greater reach in astrology needed here. You know, the Greeks were bound up on the ecliptic. The Babylonians were bound up on the horizon. So bringing works like this into the system is where symmetrical comes in. Now, what I'm going to be doing for a talk will be actual examples. I'm going to do the worst thing that we do in astrology. I'm going to ask people right in the audience for examples. And I'm going to rip them apart in front of the class. But to do it as speed analysis and cold reading. Apparently, this is something that it seems to be missing these days. We have a lot of historians that are well-trained out there, right? And of course, through most of the history of astrology, judicial astrology was frowned upon. You know, most of your medieval astrologers were doing horaries and electionals, but very rarely were they doing judicial astrology unless they had a very expensive patron paying them for a couple of years to actually do the work. And we see it in places like Nostradamus when he does Catherine de Medici's chart and predicts the death of her children, like place, time, everything, manner of death, the whole 9 yards. Those kinds of works are amazing, but for the most part, the common people did not have their horoscopes read until the 20th century. As a matter of fact, in the great movie, She'd Done Him Wrong, is the first time I see astrology on the big screen with Mae West telling someone to stand aside. She has to read her horoscope, and she's paging over this old-timey 1920s style of writing charts when they would do a typewriter, you know, continually, you know, and they just knock these things out. So this idea of reading horoscope rapidly, right, straight from the hip, using all the materials, is what we're going to look at.
Wait, I love it.
It should be fun. It should be fun. And the idea, I'm very glad that they've placed me early on in the conference, because when you have a single talk, it's a good thing because it means people could talk to you afterwards.
Exactly.
If you have your single talk at the end, they get on the bus and go home. So, but the people who have two talks, well, they can have a talk at the end, but they have a talk in the middle or at the beginning, and then the people build up for that last talk, and they'll stay at the conference to see that character, you know?
Well, this is a perfect time for everyone to, you know, get some information about what it is that Gary does with symmetrical astrology, symmetry and dial methodology. I love cold readings. It's what I do. I love doing it on the spot, just right there. It's a whole lot of fun, right? Yeah. So I love doing that in a class setting. I love doing it's awesome. So look, everyone, ISAR 2022, go to isar2022.org, go to the website, get all the information you need. You'll see the schedule. You'll see the rest of the speakers. You can register. You can do all of that. And we're going to be there in August. And our tagline is joining hearts and minds. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a great deal of fun. And we're going to have a great deal of fun learning and doing that all at the same time. So Gary, thank you so much for taking the time today. And we'll see you in August.
Thank you, Laura. You too.